Crystal.
Hey.
I got George, the detective here. He's now the current detective on that case that you're talking about. Okay, so he was not the original detective. So I told him kind of what you've told me, told him you did a written statement, and he just wants to talk to you about it.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm okay, how are you?
Could be better.
I bet. So, I tell you what, I got this camera here, if you're okay with it.
That's fine.
I'm gonna turn that on, and then I'll probably like hang it on my shirt, and it's gonna look even dumber, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Some of that new stuff, huh?
Yeah, well, let's see if it even works. It's about the silliest looking thing, probably. Does that look silly? Does this
No.
look silly to me?
Not at all.
Does it make me look fat?
Not at all.
All right. Hey, look, I have to, as a matter of course, do this whole scary police thing that you've probably heard so many times now, you can read it by heart.
Right, that's my book. I just wrote it.
Okay, thanks, great. I'll take a look at that here in a second. So, let me read this to you, and then we'll talk a little bit more. You may remain silent. Anything you do say may be used against you in court or other proceedings. You have the right to consult an attorney before you make any statement or answer any questions, and you may have your attorney with you during the questioning. You may request the court to appoint an attorney for you if you cannot afford to hire one. You may stop the questioning at any time by refusing to answer any further questions or by requesting to consult with your attorney. You understand those rights?
I
I've
do.
read them to you. Okay, and you're okay talking to me? Is that
I am.
right? Crystal, how do you spell your first name?
It's CHRYSTAO.
What's your middle initial?
L.
Okay, last name?
Oliver.
O-L-I-V-E-R.
Mhm.
Okay. And today is the
Is the 9th.
Oh, look at you.
Mhm.
I think you're right. 3-9. All right, I do have to look at the time.
I don't know what time it is.
Yeah. It is 12:44. I'm just gonna set this on. Okay. All right. And then if I could just get you to sign underneath that.
Okay.
That would be
Just right here?
fantastic. Yep, just right underneath that would be fine. Okay, thank you. All right, let me tell you this.
Mhm.
I came in and took over this case
Mhm.
just recently. When I say recently, like I am not up to speed at all on any of it, okay? So you're gonna have to talk to me like I'm stupid,
Okay.
okay? So it shouldn't be too hard to do. So, sign here. Let's start with the, I guess, the story. And I know that you've written the book, and I'm gonna look at that here in just a second. But let's,
Okay, well,
first of all, let me ask you this, and if it doesn't interfere with, anything else you have going on. First of all, you're in custody,
I am.
all right? Okay. Why are you in custody?
I'm in for drugs, which I have a feeling that has to do with this woman that we're talking about.
Okay.
Because this all leads up from about January the 10th. She stayed at my house for about 2 weeks, trying to run me off. Her and her dad coming in and out of my house, climbing through windows, and trying to change the locks and lock me out.
Out of your house?
Out of my house that I'm
Okay,
renting
where-
from her.
Okay,
That's at
all
Coral.
that you're renting from
Uh-huh,
her.
yeah.
What's her name?
Her name is Terri Walker.
Okay.
She lives on Cow Branch Road.
Now, is that short for something?
I think it's Teresa Walker, I
Is it
believe.
Teresa Walker?
Her dad's name's Wayne Walker. And he actually is the owner of the house that I live in, but I didn't know this initially. She told me that she would rent me the apartment for $650 a month. I would pay her, and that she would take care of her dad. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Well, apparently she was taking the money and she was going and getting high with it, and not telling her dad that I wasn't paying.
Oh, I see.
So and then she would call me and she's like, "Crystal, my dad's gonna come down there. Just don't answer the door." And so I'd
Make
hide
it look
from
like
him.
you weren't paying rent.
Right. So I would hide from him, and I did this to pacify him because I didn't want to piss her off. You know what I mean? Because initially she wanted.
What was that address?
It was 408 Elm Street in West Point, Kentucky.
Okay.
Apparently, she got behind on some bills. The bank was going to foreclose, so her dad took it over and put it in his name, caught it all up for her because he owns a lot of properties in West Point.
Okay.
So about January the 10th, I mean, I've been paying her rent every month. I've been paying the LG&E to her every month because for some reason they wouldn't let me get the LG&E in my name. They kept it in her dad's name.
Okay.
So that, and I come to find out it's because the water was on illegally, the LG&E was on illegally, the gas was on illegally. So I was giving her extra money to pay for the LG&E bill that she would never show it to me, but I just took her word for it.
She would just tell you what to
The
pay.
bill was. She was like, it's $310 this month, gas is outrageous, and I just give her the money, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Well, one day she climbs through my window in my back bedroom. Like if you come through my front door, it's my living room, then I have like a den, and then I have my dining room, my kitchen, and it goes to the back, and I have 2 bedrooms in the back and my bathroom. My bedroom's all the way in the back. She climbs through my living room window, pushes the window all the way in. She comes through, her dad comes in the front door with their big ass pit bull, trying to intimidate me is what they were doing.
You were
because-
home?
Yes, I was home. I was in there sleeping. They wake me up. Terry's just looking at me like, come on, play along.
Mhm.
Because she has to put on this big act for her dad. And usually what I do whenever they come in like that, I'm like, I'm sorry, if you give me a couple hours, I'll come up with some money to give to Terry, and then I'll give him extra money. You know what I mean? So I'm paying rent like double the time. And I'm like, man, I can't keep doing this. I got 4 kids, you know? I can't keep giving you all this money, and then I don't have no food, I don't have no nothing.
Right. You were paying her how much a month?
I was paying her $600 a month for the apartment.
Just for the rent?
Just for the rent, and then I was giving her another $250 to in between $250 and $300 a month in rent for the LG&E bill. And I lived there for about 5 months.
Okay.
And
Just for the LG&E bill?
just for the LG&E and the gas.
Okay,
Apparently,
okay.
yeah, this is LG&E and gas.
Yeah, okay.
And then the water, she said the water was included in the rent, is what she told me.
Okay.
So I never knew. They would never sign a lease with me. She would never sign a lease. Her dad brought one, but she wouldn't let me sign it. She was like, no, I'll just live month to month for right now. Because I had my friend, there was plumbing problems, so my friend was fixing it. We were supposed to work off some of the
Oh, I
rent.
see.
But she was like, well, you have to fix it all and then give me all the receipts, and then I'll take it off the rent from there on. And I was like, all right, whatever.
How old's Teresa?
I'd say she's in her late 40s. She knows my mom and my aunts and them. So my mom was born in '66. My mom's what, almost 50. So I'd say she's close to 50, if not.
Late 40s, early 50s?
Yes.
Okay. How old's her dad?
He's about 70. I'd say about 70. He's an older gay guy.
Okay.
He's great. I mean, and I understand his point. You know, what I mean, he's not getting money. He has to pay taxes on the
Well,
property.
sure,
You know, but they were taking it out on me. Well, they come in on me that morning, and I told him everything. I said, I've been giving this woman this much money, right in front of her.
What
So
day was that?
This was like, it was around the 10th of the month, because I paid her on the 1st of January. I paid her on the 1st. I paid her the rent, and then I paid her a week later. I paid her for the LG&E bill. And then a week later after that, that's when they come in through my window, because, you know, by the 10th of the month, if her dad ain't got no money, he comes and harasses me. You know, he's telling me he's gonna take warrants out on me for not paying, or for turning the water on illegally. And I'm like, the water's not on illegally. Terry turned the water on, because the plumber has to fix the water, you know what I mean? And so they come in on me.
So
We're
you laid it
standing in the
all
bedroom,
out there?
and I said, your daughter's a junkie. She's a heroin junkie. She's a needle junkie. She takes the money I give her, and she goes and she gets high. I said, so I'm not going to keep paying for her to go get high and then paying you to keep you off my ass. I'll move out. And that's exactly what I said.
Okay.
So I started packing my stuff up. Well, she stayed at my house for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. After she climbed through my window, she just lived there. This way, trying to run me off, you know. She wrote me love letters, telling me how much I reminded her of her dead girlfriend. Her girlfriend Dana died of cancer and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, this is just getting too weird, but I toughed it out, because I was like, you're not going to run me off. You're not going to win.
Okay.
You're not. I'm not no punk, and you're not going to. I paid you rent, and you're not doing this to me.
Right.
Well, when she learned that she wasn't going to do this to me, and that I was tougher than she thought I was, she comes into my bedroom one night after her and her friend, what's his name, Brian, he's got long hair, he's a pagan guy, lives in the village, takes her to go get some heroin.
Okay.
They come back, and she's all like, you know, nodding out on the couch and stuff, and then Brian leaves, and she walks back in my bedroom, and I'm sitting there watching TV, and she sits down, she goes, you know, I found out who you were a long time ago. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, Donald Hagen, you're his niece, right? And I was like, something like that. I said, my family grew up, she knows my family. And my family grew up with him. His sister and my aunt were best friends. I hung around him when I was younger. He used to keep me out of trouble, but he always he's like a big brother, but I called him he's not Uncle Donald, my Uncle DW. Very, very close to him. And I knew who she was, but I just put it in the back of my mind because I thought the case was closed and that, you know, they ruled it as an accident or whatever. I kind of figured there was more to it, but I didn't want to push it because I'm homeless without a house, you know what I mean? So I'm sitting there, she comes and she sits down on the bed, she said, I've been dying to tell you this. After I found out who you were, I just cannot wait to tell you this. And I'm like, what? And she starts like looking at me all evil. And I'm like, I'm kind of getting nervous at this point. And she's like, I shot him. I killed him and I got away with it. And I was like, what are you talking about? So she proceeds to tell me the story. She says that Jasmine Southwick, a guy named Booster Eric, I don't know who that is, I don't know these people's last names,
Okay.
Donald Hagen and his girlfriend Leanne all come up and started hanging out at their house because Donald Hagen's so dope. And Terri apparently knew people that he could get it from for cheap, or that she could sell it to for big money. You know, they could help each other make money, is what Jasmine and them told.
Does Terri sling dope?
No, she used to, but her brother got busted, and he went to prison. And after he went to prison, she stopped.
Okay.
Okay, so at this point, this is like the first time that her and Donald are actually meeting. She said.
Okay.
She said that she knew his face, but she thought he was an arrogant asshole. Couldn't stand him. The first couple of days that he was at her house, she couldn't stand being around him. He was just this stuck-up thing. But then as they started getting high together and they started talking, they realized that they grew up right next door to each other, and that Donald even had a nickname for her. Moose is what he called her when they were kids. And so they figured out that they knew each other, and they became chummy, and they started getting high together. And Donald likes to go, he's like an American picker. He wants, if you got trash or junk or anything, he wants to go through it, and he wants to find stuff, and he wants to trade you dope for it. Well, that's what they started doing. She's got all kinds of stuff all over her property. She's got an old, I think it's a 1961 and a half Falcon on her property.
Okay.
You know, and he's just loving it, going through it.
This is at her house?
This is at her house on Cow Branch Road.
Okay. Do you know what that address is?
I don't know the address, the number, I just know Cow Branch Road. And it's all the way in the very back, off on a hill. Her house in the front yard looks like a junkyard. It's got a couple of trucks and a old Falcon, a bunch of junk in her yard.
Okay.
So she
So they're
said
getting high together.
they're getting high and they're having a good old time. They
Okay.
figured out who they were. They're best friends at this point. He's calling her Moose and Sis, you know, got nicknames for each other now as he's going through their stuff, and they're getting high. Well, they're all there. Jasmine Southwick, Booster Eric, they're all hanging out there. Those are the ones that actually brought Donald to Terry's house. Jasmine Southwick and Eric and Leanne. I don't know Leanne's last name either, but so they're all there and they're hanging out and they're getting high or whatever. And Donald leaves to go re-up. He goes to meet his dude to go get more dope because he's out of dope. Well, he's supposed to come back that night and he never shows up. He's gone for a couple days. Well, Leanne's getting pissed that he's not back because she's been sitting there waiting for him. They're out of dope. They're getting angry, she said. Well, Terri said that her and Leanne came on to her and was like, man, I'm scared to death of Donald. He's been beating me and, I'm scared. I need to get away from him. Well, Terry's one of them real clingy chicks. Like, if you show her any kind of attention at all, she's like, oh, she falls in love with you real easy. Well, she starts to feed into it, and her and Leanne start to have sex, and they start to be together sexually. And Leanne's crying to her, telling her how Donald's beating her, and Donald's never beat a woman in his life. He's been with Tasha since middle school, his high school sweetheart. They've been together forever. He's never one time put his hands on her, so we all know that's a lie. Well, she says that Leanne's crying and telling her how he's beating her and raping her, making her have sex with him when she don't want to, and she just has to get away from him, and that he did something to her ex-boyfriend, but she don't know what he did, and Terry's feeding into all this, and then Terry tells me that Leanne said that she knew where a bunch of money and a bunch of dope was buried, that Donald had put up in case anything happened to him. She knew where it was to go get it. And then they start talking about, we need to get rid of Donald because Donald's not going to let me leave. He's going to find me and he's going to kill me. He's not going to let me leave him. I know too much. So Terry said that
That's what Leanne would tell Terry.
This is what Terry's telling me in my bedroom, sitting on my bed. I'm just sitting there like, are you really about to do this? So she starts to talk and she tells me all this stuff about Leanne, and then she proceeds to say that Leanne starts telling her ways that they could kill him and get away with it. So they make this plan out that they're going to just get the guns out because Terry has a bunch of guns. And so they get the guns out and they just start shooting guns in the yard, where there's gun shells everywhere in the backyard, up the hill, in the woods, and then over on the side of the house by the garage they're doing target practice and they're shooting their guns. That way everybody has gunpowder residue. They can't pinpoint one person for shooting anybody. So they're discussing this with each other.
Now, when you say they are discussing this with each
It's
other.
Leanne and Terri Walker.
Okay, so just the two of them.
Just the two of them. They're laying in the bed. They just had sex. They're sitting there smoking a cigarette, getting, drinking, doing whatever they're doing.
Okay.
And they're talking about this. And she said Leanne sucked her in and told her all this crap. Well, she said that Donald come back 2 days later. Well, they planned to kill him that night. Like, they went out and shot guns all that morning and stuff, and then that night he was supposed to come back, and he never showed up. Well, early in the morning on, I guess, March 17th, the day that he actually got killed, early in the morning he showed back up. She said he was acting real weird. She said that he come in and he was like, Moose, I need to talk to you. You know, I just need, me and Leanne ain't getting along. Shit's crazy. You know, so she took him down in the basement and they start getting high and he starts talking to her and he says, man, I found out Leanne's full of shit about a lot of things. You know, apparently she tells me that Donald confessed to her that he killed Leanne's ex-boyfriend and buried him somewhere in somebody's backyard or something.
Is what Terry said?
Is what Terry told me that Donald told her about Leanne's, because Leanne told him that she had a crazy ex-boyfriend and he beat her. And when I first met her, she was all beat up. She had cuts all over and everything. So
What was that cat's name? You know?
I have no idea. She never told me that name. So, but I know that Donald did talk about, he was real tore up there the past few months. Like when he first met Lee, they were fine, and then they got to an argument. She shot herself in the head over it. A bunch of weird shit started happening right after this guy.
Shot herself in the head?
Yeah, like she pointed the gun at Donald. I was there that day. She pointed the gun at Donald. She's like, I'll fucking kill you. I know what you did. You know, and I'm like, what the fuck is she talking about?
Leanne did?
Yeah, and then she was like, I'm so sorry. I love you. So she turned the gun on herself. He ran over and he smacked the gun and it just grazed her head. Barely, like, missed, you know, just
Did
her
she go to the
scalp.
hospital for
No,
that?
she sat there and we bandaged her. And I'm like, bitch, you're crazy. You need to go to the hospital. She wouldn't go. She was like, no, because they'll ask too many questions. And I'm like, you know, no. She's too nervous. So it was just weird how Donald had been acting. He'd been acting real strange for the past 3 months.
When did he meet Leanne?
I want to say he met her, I'd say about July or August of 2014. I'd say they were together about a year or so.
Okay.
And so she tells me that Donald tells her that he killed this dude because she swore to God that he was,
Whoever her boyfriend
was, he was beating her and he was hunting her down. She swore that he come to Donald's house and beat on the door and broke the window. And
So what'd they do with him?
apparently they buried him in somebody's backyard. And from the information I got from Terry, that's why they dug up Donald Wayne's house. They dug up his floors and they tore his house up in his backyard looking for this body.
Okay.
Terry then, she said that Leanne told her, Donald was talking to her and Leanne walked in and they didn't know it. And Leanne overheard him talking shit about her. Talking about, I think she's lying, I think she made me kill an innocent man, and I just can't live with myself because of it. And Leanne overheard him and she got mad, thought that he was gonna talk Terry out of what she talked Terry into already. So Leanne comes in, she starts dogging him, just telling, you stupid motherfucker, you're a fucking retarded bastard, I can't believe you're telling her this shit. You want us to go to prison for the rest of our lives? What's wrong with you? We're supposed to stick together. She said that Terry said that Donald got up, didn't say a word, because at this point they're all down in the basement. Terry, Jasmine, Eric, Leanne, and Donald's the type where you don't talk to him like that in front of people. If you got something, you pull him to the side and you talk to him like an adult. You don't make him feel inferior. You don't make him feel like less of a man, because then you're not going to get nowhere with him. Well, he proceeds, he takes a coin, he has this like buffalo coin, and it has the same face on each side, and he used to rub it. And he'd pull it out of his pocket, and he'd rub it when he'd get nervous or when he was upset or stressed out. She said that he took it out of his pocket and she handed it to him. He handed it to her and didn't say a word and just walked up the steps. That they sat there and listened to him walk out the front door. And Leanne's like, man, did he really just fucking leave? Well, a couple days before this, like the day that they found out who they were, she said that she traded him a .22 caliber pistol for some dope. And then she gave him an old gun holster.
When you say they found out who they were?
Yeah, like they were hanging out and
Okay.
she really didn't
you
like
mean
it.
after they figured
Right,
out
when
they
found
lived next to each other.
right,
I
they-
got you. Okay.
Yeah. She was like, oh, and then they were chummy, you know, and he was
So
like,
then she gave him a
sewed-
.22 pistol and what else? A jacket?
It was in a jacket, it was a holster,
Oh,
like an
an
over-the-shoulder
okay, all
holster
right.
and a vest.
Okay.
Okay, well, the .22 caliber pistol didn't fit into the vest at all, she said. She said the gun was too big or too small or too big, and it would just fall out if, you know, it wasn't in there the proper way.
Okay.
Okay, well, he's got this on at this point, and, you know, he's rocking it because he loves it or whatever, and I know Donald, I'm sure he did. He walks up, they listen to him walk up the steps and out the front door. Her and Leanne run up the basement steps and walk through the living room and go out the front door after him. At this point, he's already sitting down in Becca Sheffield's car, which is the car he borrowed the night before to go get the dope and shit. It's a little pink colored, like red, like
Red,
magenta, like magenta colored little car. And she said that Leanne ran out first. She walked out, Leanne jumped in the passenger side, and they're arguing and arguing. She can see them screaming, and she walks over and she leans over into the window of the car like this. She's like, man, what's up? What's wrong?
Terry does.
Terry does.
Okay.
Leans in the door. And Leanne's like, man, I'm telling you, he's gonna hurt me. And as the argument escalated, Donald keeps getting louder, and then he starts punching the steering wheel and shit. And then Leanne looked at Terry and goes, just do it or he's gonna kill me. And then at that point is when he looked at Terry and she grabbed the gun out of the holster and she pulled the trigger and shot him. That's what she told me. In the chest, like underneath the shoulder. Like
Through the window.
no, not through the window. The window's down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. She's leaning in the
she's
window.
leaning in the window. Mhm.
Okay.
And then she pulls the gun out of the holster because it's just right there, and then shoots him. And then he stands up, or the gun drops down in between the door and the seat. He opens the door to get out of the car, and that's when the gun falls out onto the ground. And then she looked at me and she said, "So what do you want to happen when you shoot somebody?" I said, "Well, I guess you want them to die." She goes, you're smarter than you look. She said, so I sat there for a few minutes, and then when he realized that I wasn't going to help him, he turned around and took off running down Cal Branch Road. So at this point, the car was back. I guess he had been backing up while him and Leanne were arguing, got down to the midway of the driveway, closer to Cal Branch Road. And then that's when she leaned in the window, shot him. Then she was like backed up. He opened the door, got out, took off running down Cal Branch Road, got about 4 blocks down 44. At this point, Terri Walker, Jasmine Southwick, and Booster Eric, I'm not sure what Eric's last name is, but Booster Eric are all 3 in the car. They're in the back seat. Booster Eric and Jasmine are. She's in the front seat driving, and they're just following behind Donald on Cal Branch on 244, and he's going down towards Dixie, like towards where he lives in Valley. Like he's going towards the pink liquor store, Jerry's Liquors, and she just follows behind him until he collapsed in the middle of the road. And Jasmine, at this point, Jasmine and Eric are like, I don't want nothing to do with this. This is what she told me. And they get out and they take off running back towards Cal Branch Road. She said she gets up, she puts Donald's arm around her shoulder, and she puts him back in the car. And then she said, I drove.
Jasmine does?
No, Terry does.
Terry does.
Mhm.
Okay.
Terry's driving the car at this point,
Gotcha.
following behind him. He collapsed.
Okay.
She puts him in the car. Jasmine and Eric take off running back to Cal Branch Road. That's what she told me. And then she said that as they were driving, she goes, do you know what it's like to watch the life escape from somebody? Knowing at that point you're like God, she tells me. And I'm just looking at her like, this bitch is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, she's insane. I'm not scared, though. I'm thinking that she's just blowing smoke up my ass because she's pissed off that I busted her head out with her dad. Well, she said, I listened to him gurgle. I listened to the air bubbles escape from his wound. She was like, and I just waited. I drove real slow, and I waited until that last breath escaped his mouth, and then I pulled into Jerry's Liquors. And she said I acted a big mess, and I got help there. She said, the entire time I could have saved his life, my cell phone was in my back pocket. That's what she told me. She's like, so if you think that and I got away with it, Crystal. She said, I got away with it. I'm going to get away with it. She said, so if you think I can get away with making somebody that big, because everybody loved Donald, everybody did. If you think I can get away with making somebody that big disappear, what makes you think I can't get away with you disappearing? And I was like, bitch, don't threaten me, because I'll whoop your fucking ass. You know what I mean? Like, I'm taking offense to it. And she was like, I know your mom. I know that your mom lives on Forge Circle, 4 houses down from Donald Hagen's house. I know your kids are there. She said, don't tempt me. I said, you know what? Fuck you. She finally gets up and she walks out of the room. Well, I'm not one to be intimidated. I'm not scared of you. You'll have to shoot me. You'll have to. Because I'm going to beat you. Don't threaten me and my family. Well, I started asking around about her, and I go down to the locker room on Dixie Highway. It's a little bar, it used to be called Mom and Pop's, a karaoke bar. And I go in there, and I'm sitting there with my friend Sherry Stinson and my friend Matt Collins, and I'm sitting there with Terri West at this point. Terri West sits down next to me, and she starts crying. She's like, Crystal, be careful. And I'm like, why? Why do I need to be scared of this woman? She's not shit to me. Why should I be scared of her? She was like, let me tell you, about 2 weeks after Donald Hagen got killed, her son came up missing for about a day and a half. Terri West's son. I don't know her son's name. She wouldn't tell me. She said that Terri Walker walked into her bar one day and was like, I got your son zip tied in my basement. He tried to do a home invasion on me. And they took this 17-year-old little boy and they zip tied him in that basement. They tortured this little boy. Like, he has scars on him.
Really?
And his mom is the one that told me this. His own mother said that her husband had to go to that basement, and I get cold chills. I could cry just talking about it. Like, had to go to that basement and pick his son's limp body up out of that basement and walk up them steps with that little boy because of whatever reason. And then Terri walks in this bar and tells his mother that he did a home invasion, and that's why, who does that to a kid? You know what I mean? Well, like after all this, she tells me all this shit, and I found out all this stuff. I started to get scared, so I start packing my shit. I'm moving out. The day I'm moving out, the Hardin County Task Force runs in on me looking for marijuana all of a sudden. I don't smoke marijuana, never have, but she's telling her dad, she's trying to convince her dad that I'm paying her in pot. I'm paying her in pot to live there. That's why she don't have no money. It's not meth, it's not heroin, it's pot, because her dad's nephew lives in their basement, in his basement. He sells pot, so pot's okay. So I know they're the ones that called in on me. So now I've been locked up for 36 days. All of a sudden, my son gets a hold of a couple blood pressure pills, and he's in the hospital. He almost dies. My son does. And now I'm scared. Like, I know this bitch is the reason why I'm here. Now my son's sick. You know what I mean? She knows where my mom lives. My son and her sister's grandson are friends on the street. They play together. And this is the same little boy that my mom's saying where he got these blood pressure pills. How did I know Terri Walker didn't say, hey, got a headache, here, take these, trying to kill my kid?
How old's your kid?
I have 4 kids, 11, 12, 13, and 15. This is my 12-year-old son.
Okay.
My 12-year-old son is one of them, he still plays with G.I. Joes. You know, he's just a simple-minded little kid. He's not corrupted by all this drugs and violence and shit. So for him to ask somebody for something for a headache, he would have went home and he would ask my mom. So somebody talked him into taking them, and it scares me. You know, because I don't know what this woman's capable of. I've been here for 36 days today. I went to court on February the 12th. I got approved to get out of jail on an unsecured bond. Pre-trial, don't come talk to me. I'm filling out paperwork. Her dad apparently has a lot of pull in Hardin County for some reason. Okay, well, the pre-trial goes back in front of the judge. The judge says, no, I changed my mind. I'm going to keep her in here, $5,000 full cash bond. They take my unsecured bond away from me 4 days later and don't let me out. I go to court yesterday. I was supposed to see the judge for another bond reduction and to make sure that I had counsel. Well, I sat there from 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock yesterday evening, and they said, oh, they canceled your court date. You're not going to go in front of the judge. Where do they do that at? Now I don't go to court again until April 5th. I'm here for a residue and a chicken bone. And are you serious? Like, so now I'm scared that they're fucking with my freedom. So now, and my son's sick, my mom's got cancer, I've got 3 other kids that I gotta worry about her doing something to. All my shit was still in that house over there. I've done heard that the police been down there, that she went over there, she took my truck, she's already went and got all my stuff out of my house, that she's got it up at her house on Cal Branch Road, and that she's gonna try to keep me here as long as possible, that her dad's pulling strings and all this. So I'm just scared, and that's why I've had enough. You know, this could be completely bullshit. I don't know. This is what she told me. But I believe her, and I believe her so much that I'm here now. You know what I mean? And they're like, I'm scared. I'm scared for my safety. I'm scared for my children. This bitch is crazy, especially after Terri West told me the story about her son.
Okay.
So
Let me just walk back through this so that I'm sure I've got this right, okay? Because I want to make sure that I got, a story in my head right.
Right.
So, tell me, I guess walk me back through it, if you will, but walk me back through it backwards.
Backwards.
So yeah. So
Okay.
when let's start where she pulls into Jerry's. Is it just her and him in the car?
it's just her and him at this point in the car.
Okay.
Yes, it's just her and him.
And he's where in
dead.
the car?
Oh no, she opened the door and pulled him out. He's laying on the concrete at this point, like laying in the concrete, and she's over top of him screaming, help me, help me. And at this point she said that she already knew he was dead because she listened to the last breath come out. She knew the last words. And on the way as they're driving down, she's
What
telling...
was the last thing you said?
She wouldn't tell me the last thing he said. All she was telling me was what she said to him. Like, she told him, I'm fucking your old lady. She told me where all that dope and money's buried, so here in a little bit we're gonna be living off your money and off your dope. We're gonna be getting high and you're gonna be gone. That's what you get. That's what you get for being such an arrogant asshole, telling him this shit. And in my heart, it's like, why would someone be so evil? Like, he's already dying, you know what I mean? Why? So, anyway, they're on 44. She's following behind him as he's running. He's probably can't breathe. I can get this visual in my head of him. He's a boxer. He used to box. He's in very, very good shape. You know what I mean? He's a muscular dude. He boxes, and he's always jogging and running with his pit bull. I mean, he's in very, very good shape. Very good shape. So,
Did he used to have a black leather jacket?
yes. He used to wear a black leather jacket all the
Like
time.
motorcycle jacket,
Yes.
the buckles and all that stuff on it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he's a very, and he'll give you the shirt off his back.
I've met him in my lifetime.
Yes.
In my career.
He's a very, yes, I'm sure you have. I mean, he had the run-ins with the police all the time. He was crazy. I guess about 10 or 15 years ago, he was in a car accident in a pickup truck with his best friend in the whole wide world. And he got out, but his friend didn't. And he stood there and watched his friend burn to death. And that did something to him too.
Okay.
You know, and this is another story that she told me, he
Right.
told her. You know what I mean? And I'm like, all this stuff, like,
So she's following him in the car?
in the car, down
Just by
44,
herself?
by herself, yeah, because whenever he collapsed in the middle of the road, Jasmine and Eric got out of the car and took off running back. This is about 4 blocks down, she said, 4 blocks down from Cow Branch Road, so he didn't make it very, very far,
Okay.
you know.
But they're on 44?
They're on 44, yes. He is headed towards
Okay.
Dixie Highway.
Gotcha.
Because I'm sure he knows by this point, these bitches try and kill me. You know, these bitches are crazy. And he's running. And he collapsed in the middle of the road. Eric and Jasmine jump out of the back seat, take off running back towards Terry's house.
Okay.
Terry gets out and was like, really, you're just going to leave me?
Mhm.
Gets up, puts Donald's arm around her. He's still alive at this point. Puts his arm around her, lifts him up, puts him in the passenger seat.
Okay.
Okay, so they're in the car.
Right. So then,
He's like-
back at the car though, let's talk about when they were back at her, at her house,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So they're back at her house, and tell me about that. Tell me about that again. So
Okay, initially she told me that he was going outside to get her garbage cans because she has ropes tied at the bottom, at the end of her truck. Because she's too little, her garbage cans are big. So somebody tied it up to where she can drive her truck to the end of the driveway, attach the garbage cans onto the ropes, and then pull them back up. And that's initially what he was doing. But if that's what he was doing, then why was he in Becca's car and not in your pickup truck? You know
So
what I mean?
he's sitting in the car.
He's sitting in the car. This is after the argument downstairs. He runs upstairs. He's getting in the car. He's backing out of the driveway, real slow. He's backing out because he's giving Lee. I know what he's doing. He's giving Lee a time to get to the car so they could leave together, so they could talk. Because he hates fighting. He's backing up real slow. About this time, they're down by her garage. If her driveway comes up, you go over this little bridge and you go all the way up, and then you can pull up on by there's like an awning or a carport. And you pull up next to the house. So that's where the car was parked. So he backs down. He comes. If you see her yard, you'll see like a white, like the old Falcon, and then another old car. That's about where the car was, she said. And Leanne got in the passenger seat. She waits a few minutes. She don't run down there immediately. You know what I mean? They're fighting and arguing, and she can hear them screaming, and she can hear Lee dogging them. So she walks down her steps, down the sidewalk to the car, and she leans in the car like this, like, "Come on, y'all need to quit fighting. What's going on?" You know, whatever she said to him. She said that Lee looked at her and was like, "He's not going to let me leave. He's going to kill me." And at this point, Donald Lane's punching the fucking steering wheel, and he's irate, like, "No, you're not going to talk to me like this." And she grabs the gun and shoots him. The gun falls between the seat and the door. Just falls down.
Right.
He opens the door and gets out, and he looks at her, and he's like, "Ugh," you know, like gasping for air. And he knows he's been shot. I've been fucking shot. And she just looks at him. And then Leanne gets out of the car, and I don't know where she don't ever tell me where Leanne went from there. After that, I don't hear nothing else about Leanne and the whole story.
Okay.
But yeah, Donald gets up, and he's looking at her like, "Help me," and she just backs off away from him or whatever she does, and then he's
Now
like,
you say you don't hear anything else about Leanne, the whole story, but
Yeah.
you said Leanne was in the car with.
right at that point. But
Okay.
after that point,
Okay.
after Donald got out of the car,
Mhm.
Leanne gets out of the car, I guess, and because Terry gets in it, and the only people in the car when they following Donald down 44 is her, Eric, and Jasmine.
Jasmine.
So, yes.
Sorry. Okay.
Mhm.
So we don't know where Leanne.
Well, you don't know
went
where.
at.
She never says nothing else about Lee after this point. Okay.
Okay.
Never says nothing else about Lee. I don't know if Lee's back at her house. I don't know if Lee runs away. I don't know. She never says nothing else about Lee after that point.
Okay.
All she says is that she shot him. He gets out. She's not helping him. Then she looks at me and she says, "What do you want to happen when you shoot someone?"
How did Eric and Jasmine get in the car? How did they even know what was going on to be able to get in the car to go after?
They were standing out there picking up the shells because they've been shooting guns all day. You know, the day before.
All of them, or just those two?
No, all of them. Terry, they were shooting guns the day before in the yard.
Right. And
Okay.
it was just Terry and Leanne.
It was
or
Terry.
was all of them.
It was Terry, Leanne, Jasmine, and Eric.
Okay.
Because Donald Wayne was off getting dope at this point.
Right.
You know, that's what they wanted to do. Donald Wayne was supposed to come back that night, and that's when they were
Now,
gonna.
did Eric and Jasmine know what they were planning
No,
on doing?
Eric and Jasmine were upstairs sleeping or getting high or doing whatever while her and.
But they went outside to shoot the guns with them.
Yeah, they thought that that's what they were there for. That's what Leanne had told them. We're gonna go up here, we're gonna shoot guns, you know, we're gonna have a good old time, we're gonna get high, you know, because she lives in the country on a farm. I mean, you can pretty much do whatever you want out there.
Right.
It's a good time, you know, everybody loves hanging out up there.
Okay.
So they bring Donald there and everything, you know, Donald finds out that he's known this lady her whole life. They get together. He sees all this junk, and he's like, yes, I'm going to get all kinds of shit for cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably going through the shit, and then he leaves, and they get pissed off because he's gone too long, and they want to get high, And I know how she acts, because when she was pissed off that her ride didn't show up on time. She's supposed to go meet somebody, get some done. She's freaking out. She's cussing me out. She's cussing everybody knocking on the door out. You know what I mean? She's crazy.
Right.
And so.
How long had her and Leanne been together before?
They had been together. They'd been hanging out there for a week.
Okay. So that's when they started sleeping together and all that?
Yeah,
was within that week.
Yeah, well, they actually, the first night that Donald said, I'm going to go re-up, and he didn't come back, that night is when Leanne was like, no, fuck, she said that Leanne came on to her and was telling her how abusive Donald was and kind of sucked her
So
in.
how long between the time they start sleeping together and the time that she shoots?
It's about 2 days.
2 days?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's what she told me, 2 days. Because they had sex and they were planning the murder. He was supposed to come back. They shot guns all that day, so they had gunpowder residue, and he was supposed to come back that night. And he didn't come back until early in the morning. Early, like maybe 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning the next morning.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So they hadn't taken showers, they hadn't done nothing, so they still have all the gunpowder residue and shit all over them, I'm suspecting, you know what I mean?
So he goes in, he starts talking to Terri, telling her, whatever it is that he's telling her.
Yeah, they go down the basement, he brings in the dope, they go in the basement, he tells her, he's like, man, I think I killed an innocent man, and, and Leanne overhears them, and she comes in and she's like, you stupid bastard, I can't believe it, we're gonna go to prison, doo-doo-doo, and, and he doesn't say nothing, and that's just how he is. He's laid back, he don't argue in front of people, he thinks it's rude, you don't bring that to other people's homes, you just don't. You're in mixed company, you don't
So
do that.
what time of day was that when all that happened?
I'm suspecting it was early morning, like right after he had gotten back.
Okay.
Because she said he was acting real weird. And he pulled that coin out of his pocket, one that he always rubs, and he handed it to her. And he had on the vest.
Why do you think he did that?
She's making it, the way she made me feel was like, he was like, here sis, something to remember me by. Because they're trying to make it look like it was a suicide, is what they're trying, or an accident. Like this is what she initially told everybody, was that he was going down to get her garbage cans. When he leaned over in the car, the gun fell and it went off, and he shot himself, is what she initially had told everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I guess, let me ask you a couple of questions. It's going to be direct, and I'm not trying to be an ass to you at all. These are questions. If you're sitting in my chair,
Right.
and I was telling you this story,
Right.
let me ask you this: why should I believe what you're telling me?
You have no reason to believe me, but I have no reason to lie. You know what I mean? This woman, I've rented this house from her, I've paid her, I've done everything I possibly could. She has done nothing but bring drama and hurt to my life. And for her to sit down and tell me this story knowing who I was, my kids are getting sick, you don't have to.
Why would she tell you that story? I understand you said she
She's
wanted
trying
to hurt you, but
because she's pissed off at
you
me.
think she just wanted to intimidate
She
you?
wanted to scare me because I told her dad about her.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I pissed her off, and don't think that she's trying to make me feel like, don't think that you can't disappear too. And then when I told her, bitch, I'm not scared of you. We will fight, and you'll have to shoot me. She was like, I'll go to your family. And then she proceeds to tell me where my mom lives at. I knew she knew. She grew up in the village, and my whole family was, my grandma
When you
had
say the
14
village,
kids.
tell me what you mean.
Valley Village,
Valley
Pendleton,
Village, okay.
Watson Lane, Frost Middle School.
Yeah.
Okay. That's where I grew up at. And, but the way she said it and the way she was looking at me, and she's like, man, there's only one other person, she told me, there's only one other person that knows this story, and his name is Mumbles.
Mumbles?
Yes, his name's Mike Cronin or something. They call him Mumbles, but his first name's Michael.
Okay.
And she said that, ask him is what she told me. Ask him.
That he knows that she's the one that shot Donald.
Mm-hmm. That's the only other person that she told about this whole thing, is what she told me.
Mike Cronin
or something like that, yeah, but his nickname's Mumbles. He's been in a lot of trouble.
Okay.
So he's probably, you probably pull up his mugshot or something, but his name is Mumbles.
You ever met the guy?
I've met the guy.
What's he look like?
He's probably about my height. He's got dark hair, he's kind of chunky, he's got no teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's kind of scraggly looking. He looks like a typical dope fiend. Yeah, because you can't understand what he's saying.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Typical dope fiend is what he looks like.
Where does he hang out?
He hangs out in Valley Village.
Does he?
Yes, actually at Biff's Motel right now, him and his girlfriend are in room number 3, Misty
How do you know
Crow. Because right before I got out, I went to go talk to him about Terry.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where he was, but he wasn't there at that time. Only Misty Crone was there.
Misty Crone?
Misty Crone is her name, so
Okay.
Yeah.
And number 3, huh?
number 3
Biff's?
is that's where they were, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
I went to talk to him about it because it scared me, you know what I mean? And now all of a sudden, 2 days after she leaves my house, the task force is kicking in my door,
Right.
wanting to know where the pot is. I mean, I don't even smoke
A
pot.
little suspicious, isn't it?
Yeah, and now I'm sitting here now, my paperwork's getting fucked up. I'm still here after 36 days over a possession charge. Are you kidding? So I'm scared that her dad's pulling strings somewhere and getting me stuck in here.
Gotcha.
And I know that this seems like I'm retaliating, like I'm just gonna tell on her.
No,
No.
that would be my follow-up question is,
Right.
how do I know that you're just not trying to throw Terry under the bus because
Why would I?
you're pissed off?
Why would I for murder? You know what I mean? Like, she confessed this to me. Now everything that she's threatened me with
Mhm.
has come true. You know, you will go to jail. You know, you will go to jail. Watch. You won't. I will take all your shit. You're not gonna do this to me. You're not gonna do this to me. I can't believe you said this to my dad. All the threats that she's made to me, if they're coming true. Now I call home, my son's sick. She threatened me with my kids and my mom. Now I'm scared. You know what I mean? I'm scared. I'm scared that I'm gonna be stuck in here. My kids are gonna get hurt, and this woman is controlling all of it for some reason. Why? I don't know. But she's crazy.
Crystal, let me tell you this.
Mhm.
It's just something I want you to think about.
Okay.
And that is that if, let's just for a minute say that I believe everything that you're telling me.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that everything that you're telling me is the truth,
Mhm.
okay? And at some point, I go through, because I'm really good with a crayon and I can connect all the dots, right? Okay. And I pull Terry in, or I, pull Leanne in, or, I find Booster Eric and,
Mhm.
pull him in or whatever,
Right.
right? And I start having a conversation, with them, or, I go back and I talk to, who was the fourth person that was there?
It
Not
was
Eric.
It was Eric, Leanne, Jasmine,
Jasmine,
Southwick.
okay, go back, talk to Jasmine, right?
Mhm.
And they tell me for some reason that you were there.
Mhm.
Would
I
that?
was locked up when this happened.
Okay.
I was in
were
Jefferson County Jail. Yes,
Were
sir.
you? Okay.
I was incarcerated for 4 months. I got robbed.
When he was,
Yes,
when
I got-
Donald was shot, you were in jail?
I was in jail, yeah. I actually watched it on the news from Jefferson County Jail.
Did you really?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
I was in jail. I got locked up on October the 8th, and I didn't get released until April.
Mhm.
I think it was sometime in April I got
Because
released.
I'm gonna tell you, it's a lot of detail.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a lot of
yeah,
detail.
I mean, yeah,
You know
so.
what I mean? And so in my mind, I'm being very,
Mhm.
very frank with you.
Right.
In my mind, when you start talking about some of the things you're talking about there, that's almost like somebody who's
Right. and
sat
been there.
and watched it.
Right, and that's exactly how I
Yeah.
felt when she told me the story. That's why I'm here telling you exactly the way she told me. But I was incarcerated on the day that he died. I woke up for lunch that day, and I turned the news on, and I see his picture on the news that he had been killed.
What'd you think then?
I thought, oh my God. And then when I heard the initial story about how he was taking out her trash, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And he don't even take out his own trash. He pays people to do that for him. So for him to take out somebody's trash and then...
The dad.
The day, yeah. I mean, it was crazy. And I just remember that feeling like, oh my, you know what I mean? Like, and then they tried to say that he killed himself. And I'm like, there's no way. He's not like that. He's not a coward. He wouldn't take his own life. If anything, he would run into the middle of a bunch of police and have a shootout with the police, and they would kill him. You know what I mean? And I just didn't know what to think. And then I heard her name, and then, I heard the stories about, and then I talked to a guy named Pat Parsons, and Pat Parsons actually walked up to her and shook her hand. Her own dad, right after I busted her head, he come back that evening to pick her up, take her to her house to get her clothes and stuff. He looked at me and goes, I won't have to worry about her much longer. She'll be in prison for killing that one guy, and I can wash my hands of her. I know she did it, you know what I mean? Like, he can't wait for her to go to prison over it because he's sick of dealing with her, you know what I mean? Like, he says this to me, and I'm looking at him like,
And who was that? Said
that's
that?
her dad that said
Her
that to
dad.
me. Yeah,
So you think her dad knows?
I think her dad suspects that she did it. I don't think he knows any of the detail about it. I think he just thinks that she did it, just because he knows the way she is. That's what I gathered from his attitude whenever he was talking to me.
I see.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a very detailed story for her to tell me, you know what I mean? And I mean, at first what I thought was, she's just telling me all this crazy shit to scare me. So I try to act tough, like, bitch, I'm not scared of you, you know? But the more that this continues, this has been going on since the middle of January, all the way up till now. Leave me alone already, you know what I mean? All I wanted to do was get my stuff and get out of your house. That way I didn't have to worry about you doing nothing to me, because everybody kept telling me to be careful, because she's crazy, be careful, because she's crazy. And now I'm starting to feel like she's behind all of
You
this.
feel like maybe she was somehow threatening.
Yeah, she's threatening me through my, yes, I do. And she knows exactly where they live. I mean, and then when she's telling me this story, it's like the coldest story I've ever heard in my life. She has no emotion. She has this evil smirk on her face, like she has no soul. It scared me half to death, but I wasn't gonna let her know that, you know what I mean?
Right.
And if she wouldn't have gave me so much detail, I probably wouldn't be sitting here telling you this story, you know what I mean? I probably thought she was full of shit.
So did you believe her?
I do believe her. I believe her. Yes, I believe she killed Donald. And I testify against that. And I testify and say everything that she told me that day I would. I sure would. Yes, I think she did it. But I believe her story, and I believe that she is trying to get to me.
Now, how long had Donald had the gun? And
He had the first couple days that they were there. He seen the gun, and that's when
they
he bought the gun. Well, when after they found out who each other was, she was like, "Oh, you know, you're my dog." So she gives him the holster and the vest. You know what I mean?
how long after she gave him the gun was he shot?
I'd say probably 4 or 5 days after she gave him the gun.
So all this happened
Within a
the
week.
course of a week.
Yes,
Right?
within a week.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, it happened so fast. It's like, but she's one of them, she's really, really gullible. You could tell her anything, you know what I mean? And she'd believe you, and you could get her to do anything as long as you're gonna get her high. As long as you tell her there's a lot of money and a lot of dope, she's gonna do it, because that's
When
just
did
who she is.
When did you talk to Wayne for him to say that?
It was the day that they climbed through my window on, I guess, on or around January the 10th, when she climbed through my window and he came in.
When you told
When I
him-
told on her.
All right,
Mhm.
and then that's when he said to you what?
He looked at me and he said, "She'll be going to prison soon. Because I know she's involved." He didn't say, "I know she killed him." "I know she's involved in that murder of that one guy at her house. She'll be in prison soon. I won't have to worry about this shit."
Her
no
dad
more."
said that.
Her dad said that to me. Her dad, her own father. Yes. That's when I started asking about it. That night, you know, she didn't leave my
Right.
house. She stayed there for 2 weeks trying to run me off.
Right.
You know what I mean? And she didn't even told me this story up till then. So he mentioned that first. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then a week went by, and she wrote me love letters and all this crazy shit. I'm like, this bitch is nuts, you know? Like,
In the 2
tell him-
weeks that she was there.
yeah, she wrote me a love letter telling me that I didn't have to worry about rent no more. She was just gonna let her dad take the farm, because that's what he was threatening to do after I busted her out. He's gonna take her farmhouse away from her. That's the house on Cow Ranch Road. And that's her prized possession. She loves that house. That's why she's so mad at me. Because now he's gonna take her house away. She's gotta move back in that house. That house needs all kinds of work. So we're sitting there for 2 weeks, and she writes me this love letter to me. "You don't have to worry about it. We'll live here together. I'll let my dad take the house on Cow Ranch Road. You don't have to pay no rent. Just help me pay the LG&E bill, and we'll live here together. We'll be fine." And I'm like, this bitch is insane. Like, no, I'm moving out. You're crazy. You can't just break into my house, live here for 2 weeks, you know what I mean, and then expect me not to do nothing.
Right.
So then when I started threatening her with the police, I'm gonna call the West Point police. I'm gonna have them come over here and put you out. I've been here 2 weeks. I live here. You know, like she was trying to establish.
Where are your kids this whole time?
My kids are with my mom because I got into some trouble, and my mom had my kids.
Right. Okay.
My kids are very, very good there, and I won't remove them from the home.
Okay,
So,
okay.
especially with me being an addict, I don't want to bring my children into this mess, you
Right.
know, because when you live a life of drugs, it's
What's your
always a
fi-
constant.
What's your fix of choice?
It's meth.
Is it?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, hopefully, I hate to say it, but hopefully being in here for a while,
Yeah,
maybe.
that's the only good thing that comes out of
Right.
being locked up this long is when I do finally walk the streets, I can actually start sober. You know, I mean, when you come to jail and you're only here for a week, you go out and the first thing you want to do is get high, you know?
Right.
First thing I want to do is hug my kid. He was in the hospital about to die, and I'm
Right.
in here, you know?
Right.
Makes me feel like a piece of shit. Especially because I should be out there protecting him.
Sure.
And I'm not. And because of my actions and because of who I've been associating myself with, could possibly bring harm to my family.
Right.
because I'm an idiot and I'm a fucking asshole, you know what I mean? And I'm selfish and it's not fair. And I can actually come out with a clear head, and this brings a lot to me. Like, it hurts my heart to know that all this has went on, and the whole time I'm lost and I'm wrapped up in all this drug shit. You know what I mean? I could have been there. You know what I mean?
Right.
I knew Donald very well. It's quite possible that if I wasn't locked up then, I could have been wrapped up in the middle of this. I could have been killed myself.
Right.
Anything. So I'm thankful for the system and how it works. But I think, and you know, everything happens for a reason, and I'm glad that right now I'm sober. I'm glad that I could tell you this story, and that I could look you dead in your eye and tell you that this is what she told me, and that I'm scared for my life, and I'm for the safety of my family. I'm scared.
Right.
And I'm not even gonna lie to you. When I walk out of here, I have no intention on doing drugs ever again. Is it a possibility that if I get back in the same circle that I will? Probably.
But you know, that's the thing. You're smart enough to know that
Right.
it's the people that you hang around
Right.
with that's going to pull you right back in.
Right. So,
So if you know that, then you know what to do.
Exactly.
Nobody's got to tell you.
Right, and for every action, there's a reaction.
Right.
You know what I mean? And for my actions, for my innocent family, my mom who has lymphoma, my kids who are going to school, great kids, straight A students, and they're all going to be affected by my choices. I got to make better choices.
Right.
I have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, this is not only my life anymore. I'm actually, for the first time in my life, I'm seeing that my life affects everyone else's life too.
Right.
It's a chain of events, and the only way to get out of it is to change people, places, and things. And maybe this is the first start of something good. Like,
Good.
you know what I mean?
I hope so.
I hope so
I
too.
hope so for you. Anything else that you can think of that I need to know?
No, I think I put it
Any,
all in my
any
book.
questions I should have asked that I haven't?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Were these like Jasmine that you were talking about? Jasmine and Leanne and Eric. If I wanted to go find them, where would I go?
I'd go anywhere up and down Dixie Highway, all the way up to Shively, from Valley to Shively.
Okay. So
Pendleton
just
area, behind Myers and
no
Delanna.
specific spot that they just
They're all just floaters.
they're all in the wind.
Yeah, they float around and they get high and they do their thing, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Most of them end up
How
in
old,
jail.
how old is Leanne?
Leanne is probably about 30, I'd say about 38.
38.
About, yeah,
Okay.
late 30s.
No guess on what her last name is?
I have no clue what I mean, I could tell you she has tattoos on the side of her face.
Does she?
She has stars all over this. So she got very distinctive marks, you know. She got short hair, real pretty smile. She has tattoos all over her. She's got tattoos. Down her leg, she's got a tattoo on her thigh, and it says love one way and it says hate the other.
Okay. How big a girl is she?
She's a little girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then what about this booster, Eric? What is?
I've met him twice, and like I said, he was Donald Wayne's booster. He'd go in the store and walk out with TVs and shit
Okay.
and that's all I know of him.
All right,
And
what do
that's
you
it.
look like?
He was tall, skinny, with like a fade, dark hair,
Okay.
dark mustache, brown eyes, you know, just like tall, dark, and crazy.
What about Jasmine?
Jasmine is, she's a little thicker girl,
Yeah.
a little chunky. She used to work at that Myers gas station on Dixie Highway.
Did she?
I hear now that she works at Jerry's on Dixie. Jerry's restaurant,
Okay.
or Jesse's, I mean, sorry.
Jesse's restaurant.
Right past Myers. There's a Jesse's, that's where she's working at right now.
Okay.
She's got long red hair, she wears glasses, real cute little girl. She's kind of thick, yeah.
Okay.
She
And
has
tell
a
me-
sister named Megan. South
She has a sister named Meg.
Yes. Megan hangs out in Valley Downs over at a guy named Chris, what's it, Chris Sanders, maybe, right? Nikki Beal was next door on Broker's Tip. That's the name of the street, Broker's Tip.
Okay.
And that's where you'll find Megan Southwick.
Gotcha. And tell me one more time, because I'll ask this question just so I got it straight in my head. The pagan dude with the long hair, Brian?
He lives on John Adams in the Valley Village.
John Adams?
Yeah, he drives a white, like Bonneville or something.
Yeah. And how's he fit into all this?
He's actually the maintenance man at my apartment where I live at. He's the maintenance man for Wayne and Terri Walker.
Oh, I see.
And he goes up to Terry's house all the time. He's her ride everywhere. He knows everything. He knows everything. He's a weird dude. He's got long hair.
You say he knows everything. What's up?
He knows. He's always with her. Always. So anytime she's in trouble, he's the one that comes and bails her out. If she gets stuck somewhere, he goes and picks her up. I have a feeling that if he was questioned and I think he knows more than what he's saying that he knows. You know what I mean? Like, I feel, because the way he is with me, he knows how close me and Donald were. So every time the Donald situation's brought up, he's like, he gets real pale and he tries to hug me and everything's be okay, and and then her friend Nikki, I don't know Nikki's last name, Nikki stays with her on Cow Branch Road. Nikki actually come to me one day and was like, Crystal, I'm very sorry, I know how bad that hurts you, and if I wasn't so scared of Terri Walker, I'd tell you the story too. Like, all these people are coming to me and I'm like,
So
all
Nikki,
you all.
Nikki said that?
Nikki said that to me. And Nikki says, Nikki takes her kids to Terri Walker's house, and lets Terri Walker babysit. So she's not, I don't believe what she says, because she's just a junkie too.
Okay.
And she's in cahoots with Terri and them, so she could just be corroborating her story just to scare me, what I mean?
Gotcha.
So I don't believe what she tells me, because I don't think she knows shit, because she's everywhere all the time. She's just so scattered. I don't think she knows anything, but for her to say that to me just means that there's a possibility that all these people knew and ain't none of them said anything.
So you're telling me that essentially Terri killed Donald just because the girl that she was sleeping with for 2 days
Yeah, said
told her that
he
he was beating her up, and he was
that's
gonna,
not why. She
Okay.
did it because she told him that she knew where a lot of money and dope was buried, and that if she helped Leanne kill Donald, that Leanne would take Terri to go get all that dope and all that money.
who did that?
Leanne told Terri that,
Okay.
and that's initially
So
why.
you think that Terri then killed Donald so
and
that
in
she
hopes
could
that Leanne
would take her to the dope,
and then her and Leanne would stay there and spend Donald's money and get high, and they would get away with it, and they would stick together, and and then Leanne would still be there. Now, Terry's looking for Leanne. Apparently Leanne didn't hold up her end of the deal, and Leanne took off, and now Terry's like, I'm gonna fucking kill that bitch, Every time you talk about Leanne around Terry, that's what she says. So, yeah, I believe that that's how she reeled her in, and because like I'm saying, you can tell Terry that there is an ounce of dope
almost
buried underneath
sounds
the
like,
tree.
if I believed everything that you're telling me, it almost sounds like that Leanne's the smart one.
Yeah. And
She gets, if I believe what you're saying to me, she gets Terry. If there was dope and money somewhere, she gets Terry to kill Donald. And then she takes off. Now, whatever, she knows where it's at. It's all hers, right?
Yeah, I don't think that there was ever any dope
You
or
don't
any
think
money.
so?
I don't think so, no. I think that if there was any money, Donald would have had it on him, or Donald would have took it to his baby mama, Tasha. He has a son named Jack, too.
Okay.
He would have left it for Jack. He would have left it with Tasha for Jack. He would have never took all his, you know what I mean? He would have
Then what do you
never
think-
took her that nowhere.
You
to.
told me what you think Terry's motivation is. Then what do you think Leanne's motivation was?
I think Leanne is just crazy, and she used the same kind of scenario to allegedly get Donald to kill her boyfriend. You know what I mean? And then apparently,
And we don't know what that dude's name is?
no, I have no clue, and it was never mentioned to me what the
You know
name dude's name.
where he allegedly was?
No, none of that was ever none of it was ever told to me.
Okay.
There was just I guess her reasoning, her excuse for why she did it is why she told me that in the first place.
Okay.
I think that, and then initially the story that I got off the streets from different people after I got out of jail was that the dope and the money that Leanne was talking about Donald having is the dope and the money that they got from her ex-boyfriend after they killed him. That's initially why they killed him, was to rob him for his dope and his money. But I just don't see Donald robbing somebody. He's got money, and he's got unlimited amounts of dope that he can go get. He's in with some really big people. It just doesn't make sense. And
But you said he was acting funny though, right?
yeah, that's what she said, that he was
Oh,
acting funny.
that's what she said.
Yeah, that's what she told me. She said he was acting strange, and
But what about you? Were you around him? How often were you around him?
I was around him almost every day. Almost, my mom lives 4 houses down from
Was he
her.
acting funny at all to you?
No. The only time he acted funny was when he was around Leanne.
Okay.
And
then
like I
how
said,
did
up for the past, the last 3 months leading up until I got arrested on October the 8th, the last 3 months, that's when I was like, something's wrong, because, and this is allegedly when he went and shot this dude and stuff, and him and Lee kept spending less and less time around Lee. And at first they were like inseparable, you couldn't get them apart. And he would come to me, and one minute he'd start crying, and then he'd start laughing, and then he'd start crying, and he'd start laughing. I just thought that he was on drugs, you know what I mean? He was just crazy because he was on drugs. He started stealing stuff from people. He's never been a thief. So then, the rumor went around that he was taking heroin. And no, he's like, no, heroin. He would like literally come in and snatch me up if he thought I was doing heroin. And then we found out that he was on Suboxone. So then everybody blamed it on the Suboxone strips that he was taking. That's why he was acting so weird. And then Leanne shot herself in the head because whatever. And all of it leads up to he did something.
Where do you think he got the gun? If he shot this guy, where did he get the gun? to shoot
He had
the guy?
guns. He had all kinds of
Did
guns.
he have all kinds of guns?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
What happened to the gun Leanne shot herself with?
I'm not sure.
What kind of gun was it?
It was a 9mm
9mm? How do you know that?
because I was there when it happened.
Oh, is that right? Okay, so you saw that.
I saw that. Yeah, she turned the gun on him first. It was a little bitty, a little bitty 9. It's like a little girly gun.
Okay.
She turned it on him. She said, "I'll fucking shoot you." And then she was like, "I'm so sorry. You do everything for me. I'm gonna kill myself." Like she went through this bipolar moment. And if it wasn't for him smacking her hand and hitting the gun, she would have killed herself. But instead, it grazed her head. It just grazed her scalp. Didn't even touch bone or nothing. You know what I mean? And yeah, so she's insane. That girl is crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. And this all, she did all of this because she was locked up. And while she was locked up, she don't think Donald took good enough care of her while she was in jail in Bullitt County.
Okay.
That's her.
So Leanne's been locked up
Yes.
in Bullitt County.
Yeah,
When
she was
was
locked
the
up
last
for-
time
she
she
was-
was locked up?
Well, let's see, this all, I got locked up in October. She got out about 4 months before I went to jail in October.
And that was,
And that was in 2014.
okay. And she went to jail 2 months before you did?
I'd say she just got out of jail.
2 months before.
2 or 3 months right before I went in. She
Okay.
just had got out of jail.
Okay.
Because I quit when Donald Wayne goes crazy. Like he came out of his house one day with a gas mask on and an AK in his hand and a bulletproof vest. I'm gonna get me. You know what I mean? Like he went crazy. So I kind of like,
Right.
yeah, scared. Like you're not gonna get me killed.
Right.
Kind of like I'm real. No, I'm good. I don't like all that drama, all that crazy shit. I like to get high, yes, but not if it's gonna interfere with my safety.
Right.
So yeah, when he started acting like that, I just disappeared into my own house
Gotcha.
and. Yeah, and then every time he popped up, I'd talk to him, and then he'd leave, and you know what I mean? But Donald was a good dude. Like, he did a lot of crazy shit.
If it's the same dude I'm thinking about, and I'll tell you what reminded me of that was when you said he was a boxer. He used to box Golden Gloves. Right?
Yes, he did. Yes, he was actually a Golden
I
Glove.
remember that because I actually picked him up one time down there close to Whispering Oaks
Yeah.
Trailer Park.
Yeah.
You ever spend any time down there?
No, but I've heard him talk about it.
Yeah. So, yeah, sure did.
Yeah, and he's a real tall, lanky dude. Like he's cut up, he's muscular, but he's skinny, and he has dark hair. I mean,
Yeah, I remember.
yeah, he's a good dude. I love that man. He's like my family. I know his sister Michelle very well.
Okay.
Him and my cousins Tommy and Donnie Huff, they were really good. We were all
Right.
it's all my family. You know what I mean? And she knew this, and she actually, if you want to know the truth, like she realized who I was before I even realized who she was.
Okay.
When I first started getting in, because I lived with my dad. Me and my dad's girlfriend got into it. He threw me out, had nowhere to go. So Sherry Stinson told me, here, I got somebody, she was renting the bottom apartment, so I moved in upstairs. $400 a month for the upstairs apartment. Well, the water didn't work up there. So I was like, my boyfriend's a plumber. I'll have him fix all of this. You just take it off my rent.
Right.
And that's where the initial agreement, before I even knew the lady's name. And then once I found out her name, apparently she had already knew who I was.
Right.
Because me and her got into it once before over the Donald Wayne thing, because she looked at me, she's like, he was taking my trash out. I was like, he don't even take his own fucking trash out, so you're lying. And then she told me that when I first met her, it was right after I got out of jail, she looked at me, she goes, he turned around and looked at me and said, sis, I'm misfired. For one, if Donald Wayne shot himself, he'd be like, I fucking shot myself. He's not gonna look at you and go, I'm misfired. So tell somebody else that bullshit story. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then I never seen her again until
So she comes crawling in your window.
until I rented the house from her.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, and then she climbs through the window. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But,
All right, Crystal. Well, tell you what, if it's okay with you, I'm going to take all this stuff that you get, because you give me a lot of stuff to think about.
right.
I'm going to take all this, I'm going to go back, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to read through your statement again, I'm going to think about it, I'm going to think about everything you told me, and then if I've got more questions, I'll come see you.
Okay.
And then.
And do you have a phone number if I get out of jail
Yeah, I sure
anytime
do.
soon?
Yeah, sure do. I'll write my stuff down. Yeah, I'll write it down. I don't.
That way, if you do have questions and you can't get a hold, I can give you my phone number too for when I get out of here.
Okay. So I'll write this on a piece
That
of
way
paper.
you can get a hold of me.
We're poor where I come from, so I don't have like fancy business cards, so I just have to write it down on
Right.
a piece of paper.
Right.
Let me get your information first. What's your phone number?
It's 502
Uh-huh.
333 2106.
Okay.
And you're from the Shepherdsville homicide?
With the Bullitt County Sheriff's
Bullitt
Office.
County, okay,
Mhm.
okay. I didn't know who was like, I didn't know if that was Hardin County or Shepherdsville or what it was.
I'll put my work and my cell number both on here.
Okay.
All right, so if you can read my scratch, all right? So if something pops up in your head or you think about something else that you can remember,
Okay.
then definitely give me a call.
And I'll give you a call if I get out, that way you know I'm
Yeah,
out.
absolutely.
How to get hold
Okay,
of me.
so, and I'll be watching, you know, I've got the ability to see whether you're in or
Right.
out, so I'll be
Okay.
watching, okay?
All right.
Thank
for
you,
coming.
thank you for this.
You're welcome.
And,
I hope it helps, I hope it's.
I hope so. I'll follow up on it and see.
Yeah, just let me know how it goes too, so
Okay.
I know where she's at, so I can watch myself. you know what I
Right,
mean?
I understand. All right,
Yeah.
your kids okay though? They're good with
yeah.
mom and all that?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, Crystal, thank you very much. It's
You're
nice
welcome.
meeting you.
Nice meeting you too, you have a good
All right,
day.
You too.